Finally here. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of the Overrated Sports Betting Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Blondin. You think after the first season that they would have moved on to a new host, but unfortunately, I pay the bills around here as far as the podcast goes. They can't get rid of me yet. I'm glad you're back. And if you haven't tuned in before to the Overrated Sports Betting Podcast, I can't even get it right. The Overrated Experience Sports Betting Podcast. This is a sports betting podcast that not only talks sports betting, but also talks top news in sports. And we went through a whole year, and it's our 1-year anniversary from talking originally about football into baseball, hockey, World Cup of football or soccer, whatever side of the pond you're on. And we learned a lot in 365 days, and we're back for another season. And the season 2 begins because we have the NFL. The NFL is the king of sports betting, the king of sports, and we're going to focus our attention at the beginning of the season here on the season 2 with the NFL, and we kick off Thursday. So this episode, I hope to bring you more as each week goes on and maybe specialize in more programs as the week progresses, more than just a weekly episode. We're going to talk about all the spreads today. So I'm going to walk through every game, starting with the Thursday nighter. The Detroit Lions take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh, yeah, that's coming. And move on to Sunday and talk about the full slate there, and move on to Sunday night. And, the Sunday night's a Chase game, and also the Monday night's a Chase game, big game there. And with this episode, we'll go through all these spreads. I'll talk about a few bets that I know that Austin from Ajax likes, and we'll probably have him on more as the season develops. I hope for the rest of the week I'm also able to fit in a podcast that either breaks up 2 separate podcasts that talk about over-unders I like this Sunday and or props I like this Sunday, or combine them into one episode. I haven't figured that out yet, but stay tuned. We'll try to have more content as the NFL season kicks off because you love it. And first of all, I got to tell you that we want you to follow us on the social media. The Overrated Experience can be followed on Twitter or X, whatever you want to define it as, at Overrated EXPER2. That's Overrated EXPER2 on Twitter or X. And Instagram, go to the Overrated Experience. You'll find us. Also, Overrated Experience on Facebook, you'll find us. And also at the end of each of the episodes, the links for each of those social medias are there. Please click it, join, follow. And I got to kick off before we get into the actual business of trying to make money because we love football so much. I want to say, for those that tuned in the last couple weeks and really showed support to the podcast, our goal is here to make us all better bettors, make us some money. And I want to do some shout outs to some of the folks that have followed us from different cities. And I'm going to just quickly go through. We had a lot of people from Connecticut in episode 48. East Hartford, 4 of 5. We got 5 hits on that. Hartford, Connecticut. I hope you do great. We love you. And we hope you do the best, and hope your football Sunday and the start to your season is a profitable one. And profits galore to those peeps in Scarborough, Toronto, Boston, Massachusetts. I hope you put some change in your pocket. I wish you the best of luck. I hope for your success. Ajax, Miami, Florida, Yakima, Washington. And Yakima, Washington comes back every week. Thank you very much. And I hope you hit your props. I hope you hit your over-unders. I hope you hit your spreads. Wish you the best of luck. Thanks for supporting the podcast. Port Moresby, National Capital, and that's in Papua New Guinea. Thank you very much. Hope you're successful. Pickering, Ontario, Whitby, Ontario, West Hartford, not just East Hartford, but and Sioux City, Iowa, Newmarket, Ontario. I hope you make money. I am cheering for you. I want the best for you. I'm hoping that your football season is a success. And I warn us all, let's not chase. Let's not spend more than we need to. Let's manage our bankroll properly. Track your bets. That's what I'm going to try to do this NFL season. And make it a safe sports betting season. And everybody winners. I'm cheering you all on. I'm hoping you're a winner out there. So you got the Overrated Experience backing, and we love you for it. So thank you. All right, let's move on to business. We got business coming up in the first game of the season to talk about. Are the defending, reigning Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs take on the somewhat up and coming Detroit Lions. From this guy, I got to believe I think they're up and coming to a certain extent, but there is a little aspect of being overrated here. Now, what's interesting about this matchup, for 2 months now, 3 months, whatever the spread's launched, and this is the unique game of the season where the spread is hanging out there for a lengthy period of time, and for the most part, it's been locked in for a bit, unless there's a sudden change in what's going on that may make a difference in the game. And guess what? Just today, the report that Travis Kelce, all-pro tight end, impact player, he has hyperextended his knee in practice today, and there's a lot of question that he'll be ready in time to be in this game and be available for Patrick Mahomes. Now, the spread, and I'm going by FanDuel, so keep in mind the 5.5 came as of today. 6.5, it's been sitting there for 3 months. Now it's 5.5 due to the Travis Kelce, doubt that he'll be playing, and maybe the lack of weapons that Kansas City will have heading into the Thursday nighter and the quick turnaround. And the idea that if you try to get through this game without Kelce, you give him 10 days off to try to rest it. My understanding is his ACL was thought to not be damaged and that it's something that should clear up soon, but I don't think before Thursday. So let's assume that Travis Kelce is not playing. Let's assume that 5.5 is right now the spread leading into Thursday. I am still thinking that the hype train for Detroit is going to get more hyped as we approach each hour closer to Thursday, and we find out more and more about Travis Kelce. If you have not placed a wager yet, I am going to recommend that you hold off. If you're looking still on the Kansas City Chiefs side, like I am, I think the 5.5 is still a good number for the Chiefs. They have Patrick Mahomes. He is the next heir apparent to Brady, and he's a phenom. And he's reached that stage, along with Andy Reid, is that throughout the next 10 years of his career, he will be adapting. They will adapt their offense to maximize what is on the field, and it will continue to happen over time, just like it did Brady, that your key players like the Randy Mosses will no longer be there, the Wes Welkers will no longer be there, and you'll have to change up your strategy. So I still like the Chiefs at 5.5. The Lions are still on the road. The Chiefs, last time I checked, are still Super Bowl champions and still have Patrick Mahomes. And I think if I'm picking now at 5.5, I'm still taking the Chiefs. Lock it in. But if you're waiting to bet, wait maybe a day or so. I think it's going to drop some more to 4.5, maybe 3.5. Depends on where the money comes in. So interesting development there. Keep an eye on the injury report. And if you like the Chiefs, wait. If you like the Lions, you might want to jump on it now. Because I think a lot of money is going to be on the Lions as the hype leads up to Thursday night. And keep in mind, like if you're Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, maybe your plan changes from throwing, a million yards to maybe clock control, right? Clock control. They're already missing Jones, or pass register, their defensive tackle, who is a significant impact on the D, which is already factored in. Didn't change the spread, but it was factored in before the Kelce injury. So that's a big news. Travis Kelce, top sports news going on right now. So that's the Thursday nighter. But we get into the Sunday nighter. So I know in Canada there's a couple of options. Obviously you have your Rogers, your Bell, and you got to decide if you want to subscribe to your NFL Sunday ticket, which is almost like $260 or whatever. It's crazy. The advantage of now having the ticket is that you watch on your TV, you take it with you on your phone, watch on, let's say, for Bell 5, which is convenient. I've started to shift a lot of my viewing to on my phone. But you also look at DAZN. DAZN provides the same, Sunday package. Now, I warn you, if you get the Sunday package, if you like to watch full complete games, but the value really is the Sunday ticket or the red zone. Red zone is by far maybe the best invention in mankind. Just maybe I'm overstating that just slightly. But, you get that idea. You sit there and it jumps from game to game. They do a great job of picking up those highlights. And that way your fantasy, coverage and your multiple bets, you probably got 1,000 bets going on Sunday. You can keep up to date with it on Red Zone. Great invention. And with the zone, though, if you do go with the zone, you do get, obviously, other sports, soccer and other, a lot of, NFL programming. So there's an advantage to that too. So good luck picking your provider if you haven't already. Now going on to Sunday, I don't know what your first Sunday is going to be like. Is it going to be beer and wings? But out of experience, I'm gonna suggest. Here's what I suggest: is maybe have a few beers between the 1 and 4:25 games. Because if you start losing, you're going to start blowing your money out of emotion because of the alcohol helping out that emotion, especially if you're losing heading into halftime in the 1 o'clock games. You may be out of dough and bankroll before 4 o'clock hits, and that's not what you want. So just wait, slow it, pace yourself, have a glass of water beside you, maybe buy that Gatorade. Do something to hydrate yourself. Just don't rely on that old-fashioned Coors Light all day and just let the emotions rob you blind and make bad decisions. We've all done it. And that's a warning. Just throwing it out there based on experience. So we're going to hit Sunday. And the first matchup I want to talk about is the Cardinals heading into Washington to take on the new, I'm going to say new because Dan Snyder's gone. And they have a new sunshine around this team, the Washington Commanders. Ron Rivera's team, 7-point favorites over the Cardinals. Now, what stands out in this game is the mess that the Arizona Cardinals are. The joke of an organization right now that Kyler Murray is not playing. He's on the PUP, so he'll be out, I think, at least 4 games. So you know the Cardinals are writing off this season. They know they're not going to compete. So they dumped Colt McCoy, who has experience in this offense, has had success, and could probably manage until Kyler Murray got back. And that's if Kyler Murray comes back, based on some of the reports on his contract and advantages of not playing him. But Josh Dobbs and Clayton Tune. Imagine you got a quarterback, Clayton Tune, and the idea that the Cardinals are trying to strategically not declare who their starting quarterback is out of the two. Josh Dobbs, who they picked up in a trade midway through preseason, and Clayton Tune. Like, what is the strategy there? What it's just the dumbest, bad start for the Arizona Cardinals. Terrible. And you know what? I like the Commanders here -7. It's -7. The Commanders, I think, have a defense that will blow up a Dobbs or a Tune. So I don't see Arizona scoring many points here. And I think Sam Howell, quarterback for the Washington Commanders, should at least get the job done. I see like a 24-3 game here. A lot of turnovers. I don't see the Arizona moving the ball at all. And Washington's D-line. In fact, this is my survivor pool pick, the Washington Commanders. I'll take them at -7, and I will take them in my survivor pool that I'm currently in. So I wonder what your pick is, but that's a good one in my mind. You get the Commanders out of the way, you don't need to use them again. I think this one's a lock. Going on, Panthers, Falcons. This one's hard to read. These are two not so great teams. These are teams that are looking to refresh, rebuild. Obviously, the Carolina Panthers traded up to get the first overall pick, and they picked up Bryce Young out of Alabama, quarterback. His first career NFL start. You know, he's kind of lit up in preseason a bit. O-line was a problem. And I don't know what you're going to see, especially early on, with this Carolina Panther offense. Falcons not that much better, man. They're going Desmond Ridder, quarterback. Kind of young guy, second year, and probably a step ahead of the Panthers at the moment. As you know, they got to stick with Bryce Young. So BJ Robinson looks like to be the number one running back. He's a playmaker, might do something out there. Just this is a game I don't like. I'm not going to bet. If I had a gun to my head to bet it, I'll stick with the Falcons at 3.5 favorite. They'll cover that spread at home. Take that down, but don't. I'd probably stay away from that game, to be honest. Nobody's going to be looking at that game at all, unless you're in Carolina or Atlanta. Cincinnati, this is an interesting game. They visit the Cleveland Browns. They are a 2.5-point favorite. Joey Burrow, came off a calf injury. There was questions, would he be 100% coming into this game? Browns, Deshaun Watson didn't have the greatest finishes last season, coming off the civil lawsuit, all the stuff with the massage parlor, blah, blah, blah. They're playing at home. How healthy is Joe Burrow, right? Joe Burrow is one of the best impact players in the NFL, no question, best quarterbacks. I'm looking at last year when they started off slow against Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh knocked them off. Slow starts in Cincinnati. If I say that the Browns are going to win this game, it's not like I'm saying Cincinnati won't win up in the AFC Conference Championship. But what I'm going to say is the Browns are going to win this game. I'll take it at 2 plus 2.5. But in realistic, it's probably a better idea to bet plus 114 the money line the Browns. Deshaun Watson has a full training camp, full off season. Nick Chubb, it's going to have a big season again. Reliable. Amari Cooper, such a clutch receiver. I can see him late in this game making some key catches. Myles Garrett, really getting at Joe Burrow, where the offensive line is still skeptical. Still skeptical if this line can protect Joe Burrow and keep him healthy. Everything is pointing to the Browns winning this game. I'm sorry, everything's pointing to the Browns to win this game. Bengals are a top-tier team, but week 1, based on the scenario we have, I like the Browns at plus 2.5, but really, I like them on the money line. All right, another game here. Houston Texans take on the Baltimore Ravens. The Houston Texans are a team that's obviously on the rebuild. They choked and didn't get the first overall pick last year, but they did wind up taking C.J. Stroud, quarterback out of Ohio State. They've named him the starting quarterback. He got limited action in preseason. Didn't look great. There's nothing to say, oh my God, this guy's the next coming of Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes. So they're going to stick with him. They got to give him the experience. And what's that going to look like for the first 3 to 4 quarters against a Ravens team that is expected to be competing for their division and dominating teams? They're a 10-point favorite in this game. I think it's a blowout. There's no goddamn way that the Houston Texans are going to do much in this game with a rookie quarterback that's going to have to ease his way into the season. Not happening. Ravens are going to run all over him. There's no contract issued this year. With Lamar Jackson, they're loaded with weapons, offensive weapons. I think Lamar's going to try to throw the ball a lot. He's got to spread the ball out to the Odell Beckhams of the world, and other players. And I think they're going to put up points. Andrews at tight end is going to put up points. I think Odell, like I said, will put up points. Dobbins will put up points to the ground. Lamar himself. I think this is going to be a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest, and it's not going to be fair. So I think this is going to be like a 30. I think the Ravens might hit 40 points here, and the Texans will be lucky to get above 10 points here. So minus 10, lock it in. Big play there. All right, move on to one of the juicy games of the day. The San Francisco 49ers travel and take on, in an early matchup, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, where do these two teams stand? Well, the 49ers are all in, right? The drama with Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, taking over last year. Trey Lance being pushed to third string, eventually getting traded to the Dallas Cowboys after giving up multiple first-round picks just a few years earlier. So the 49ers are all in on Brock Purdy. They're all in on Sam Darnold as their backup quarterback. in reality, with the weapons that they have, they need an average, reliable quarterback, and a quarterback that can stay healthy, of course, because of all the weapons they have. Christian McCaffrey, if healthy, is one of the biggest dangers of any offense, a weapon that any team can have. Deebo Samuel, and if Kittle can stay healthy, and the offensive scheming of Shanahan, this team could be unstoppable, and maybe the only team will give the Eagles a run in the NFC. And however, Steelers an up and coming offense. Pickett is a quarterback I think is going to fit in well with the Steelers. He was kind of up and down rookie season last year. He gets the full load this year. I think he's got enough weapons out there, receiving core and Harris running back. I think the offense. I think the future's looking bright for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think it's on Sunday though. I think somehow the 49ers squeak it out at 2.5. It's a bargain. That's one of those games you might want to unload on. And the 49ers, I think, win by a touchdown. And 2.5 is way too low. So 49ers, mark it down. But this will be a great game to watch. Two big franchises going at it. One team on the rise. One team already there. Remember that. That's the difference between these two teams. All right, moving on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Minnesota Vikings. The story of a team that was there in the past, but no longer there anymore, and that's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Minnesota Vikings, great regular season team, of course. They face off in Minnesota, and Minnesota is a -6 favorite over the Bucs. I was hemming and hawing on this, and I'm going to go with the Bucs to cover. Minnesota struggles. They may win this game. I'm not saying they can't win this game, but by no means are they the team that is, you know what you're going to get each week. That's not them. They very well could come in this game and win by 25 points. But there were games last year where they squeaked out wins against the Lions. Obviously, the Colts are that masterful, that crazy comeback. And they got Justin Jefferson, the biggest weapon out there, top fantasy pickup in football. Kirk Cousins is a solid quarterback, but they don't have, Delvin Cook anymore. Madison is their running back. There's no lock-in. I think 6 points is too much. And if Baker Mayfield shows any poise that he did when he finished off with the Rams, with what the Rams were providing him, there's no reason why they can't keep this game close, within 6 points. So I was hemming and hawing on this. I'm going to put my faith in Baker Mayfield. Baker, it's all yours, buddy. You're in the driver's seat. Just cover that 6 points. All right. Interesting matchup here, divisional matchup. The Jacksonville Jaguars, playoff Jacksonville Jaguars. Doug Peterson's Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence's Jacksonville Jaguars. And Jacksonville's Jaguars are taking on the Colts, and they're a -4.5 favorite. Anthony Richardson, out of Florida, the number 4 overall pick, is going to lead the way for the Colts. And he's, this kid could be a unicorn. He could be a flop, or he could be a unicorn. I think it's too early. I think you have a game one where, you have the quarterback that was the first overall pick 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever it may be. It was 3 years ago, I think, is coming into his own. I think hitting his stride, rising up to his prime, where Anthony Richardson is obviously just beginning his story. I think you'll see some highlights, and I think you'll see some lowlights, trying to run an option offense, kind of similar to my understanding what the Eagles have done, obviously taking, Eagles head coach or coordinator as a head coach. And so I like the Jags to cover the 4.5. And I think Richardson may struggle with a couple picks or having to chase the game where the Jags are up more and they got to force to, put the ball in the air. All right, moving on to an interesting matchup again. Tennessee Titans move on to the New Orleans Saints. Saints are a -3. And what do we got in this game? Well, we have a New Orleans Saints team that now has Derek Carr as a quarterback. They have a lot of weapons out there. Alvin Kamara is not playing. He's suspended for 4 games. So he'll be I think it may have got reduced to 3 games. Can't recall. But he's not going to be in this game. Big loss there. However, Michael Thomas, receiver, who's been pretty much out of the lineup the last 2 seasons, is back. And they have Olive, I keep thinking Olive, but top receiving core there. And what this New Orleans Saints team needed was a quarterback that was not a tire fire. It's just, the Red Rocket last year was not the guy. It just wasn't working for them. Jameson Winston is a great backup quarterback because that's what he is right now. But Derek Carr, I think, is enough to go on top of this defense. This, I think, will be the difference in this game, stopping Henry and all the weapons. And Tannehill, I think it's up. The time is up. He's going to be exposed to, all right, we need to go in a different direction. Derrick Henry can only do so much, and I would if I were the Saints, I'd let Ryan Tannehill beat me, which I don't think he can. And it might be a long day for the Titans. And a -3, I think, is too low. And I think Saints all day, and I think it will be pretty easy for them. 4 o'clock games. Now, again, imagine this, Sunday, 4 p.m. Where are you at? How's your money management? How did you set yourself up for 4 p.m.? Did you get to place your bet in time? Were you thinking it too much? Did you look at the data? Did you make an emotional wager because of your bankroll depleting? Did you head back to that ATM machine? Make another deposit back into your sports book? Just be careful. Be careful. Manage your money. It's only week 1. So as we head into the 4 o'clock games, this is where many of us will be putting a fresh deposit in, looking at maybe some long shots here, but try to keep on course. Sunday kicks off with the Rams heading into Seattle. Seattle is a 5.5-point favorite. Interesting matchup here in the fact that looks like Cooper Kupp is doubtful to play. Developed a hamstring injury. I think he re-injured, but he's in Minnesota, to my understanding, seeing a specialist. Odds are he's not going to play, but you never know. However, I'm going to bank on that he's not playing. Matthew Stafford back. Last year, obviously, he missed the majority of the season with an injury. Geno Smith had a great year, and then it kind of tailed off near the end, but he played well. I mean, he hung in there with the 49ers for a bit until he didn't. And what do we get with this game? I think Matthew Stafford, even before his injury last year, he could not sit in the pocket. There was pressure, and he was not looking good before his injury. I don't see him looking good now without a Cooper Kupp. And I think the Seahawks do put enough on the board to cover that 5.5. I don't think there's much in the Rams. I think it's a matter of time before head coach Sean McVay is saying I'm heading to the TV booth or moving on, because I think the Rams' time is over. And 5.5, Seahawks. Big matchup, divisional matchup. Jordan Love takes over the reins as the number 1 QB1 for the Green Bay Packers, who under Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers owned the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears are a 1.5-point favorite in this game. Justin Field leads the Bears, and this is like the year for Justin Field, right? This is where the Bears find out, do they have a starting quarterback, or do they have to go back in the draft and start all over? I think Justin Fields gets the job done here enough. I don't know how many yards he's going to put in the air, but I think he's going to stick to the ground, and I think they'll squeak by the Packers and win this game. So I think 1.5 is a good value. But again, this is the Bears we're talking about. Who knows what we're going to get out of them? So take precaution, but like the Bears in this one. Raiders, Broncos, -4 Broncos. Raiders on the road. Now, if you look on the surface and you look at the Raiders offense, you got Jimmy G, Devontae Adams, and Renfro, and you got Myers out of they picked up from New England. They got some decent names out there, but they have no depth. And how long do you really think Jimmy G is going to last? All right, and look behind Jimmy G. Jimmy G goes down, and I predict he's going to go down by the second quarter. Let's not kid ourselves. He's going to go down by the second quarter. I hate to say that, but I'm just predicting it. Brian Hoyer is backing up Jimmy G. Brian Hoyer. I'm going to check that again. Brian Hoyer is in the depth. The Raiders, number 2 on the depth chart. What are they doing? I know that you have the Patriots connection where Brian Hoyer is always the go-to backup in New England. Brian Hoyer. If think about Jimmy Garoppolo going down, it's either Brian Hoyer or Aiden O'Connell. Was that Aiden O'Connell? Like, you're dead. This is a team that's looking for a quarterback in the draft. Don't expect much from them, even with Josh Jacobs back. I mean, we might talk about Josh Jacobs and props because they're going to run the shit out of him as the season goes on until his wheels fall off. But Brian Hoyer's their backup, and Jimmy G can't stay healthy. And I don't think he can last this game. So I'll take the Broncos -4. Sean Payton's got to be doing something worthwhile with the Broncos to get Russell Wilson going and that Bronco offense going. So let's see what happens, but I like the Broncos in that one. Great matchup. Maybe the best matchup at the 4 o'clock timeline. Dolphins visit SoFi Stadium, take on the Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert faces off against Tua. Two guys drafted in the same year. And do you think the Dolphins would prefer to have Herbert? I think so. But don't tell Tua. But in this matchup, I think what the Dolphins are doing with the weapons that they have, and I love Tyreek Hill, and I love Jalen Waddle as two weapons out there. But I think the main factor is going to be the Vic Fangio, defensive coordinator for the Dolphins. I think they're going to be over Justin Herbert enough where the Dolphins cover that 3 points, but also money line might be the play here for the Broncos. Or sorry, for the Dolphins, and that's the play. Dolphins, if they're going to be a true contender, they got to start the season off in a big matchup on the road and get the job done. No way around it. And if they're real, there's games like this that they'll show up and grab the win because they're going to need it in this tough division. Interesting matchup here. Eagles in New England, Foxborough to take on the Patriots. Now, I'm full disclosure, I'm a Brady fan, Patriot fan, but my full disclosure is I'm kind of questioning over the last couple of years some of the decisions that are made at the draft, and it just almost feels like Bill Belichick is trying to overthink and win, just find angles that no other teams has taken, but it's not. The results are not on the field. And you're in a division that has the Jets now with Aaron Rodgers with the lights-out defense already. Buffalo Bills, which has Josh Allen and the favorite to win that division. The Dolphins, a healthy 2 away from contending in that division. And what are the Patriots? Well, the Patriots are -3.5 underdogs against the Super Bowl finalists, the Philadelphia Eagles. And do I see the Patriots keeping this close? Maybe. And I probably see them keeping it close to the third quarter until Jalen Hurts, starts getting the ball going. The option, take the lead and lean on the Patriots. And Mac Jones, turns the ball over at some point in the mid-third quarter where the Eagles take off. And just a note on this. This one stood out to me to talk about. After the 49er Eagle NFC Championship game and the debacle with Brock Purdy and injuries to quarterbacks. The Patriots, we're talking about the emergency quarterback here. So the Patriots decided to waive their backup quarterbacks, Bailey Zapp, Malik Cunningham, which was odd because it left Mac Jones as the only quarterback on the active roster at that time. And it was thought, and it did happen, where the two quarterbacks, Bailey Zapp and Malik Cunningham, did successfully get through waivers, and the Patriots were able to put those two on their practice roster. And I guess there was some sort of strategy, which I'm trying to noodle in my head here, trying to figure out how that works, is that they were trying to maintain flexibility in the roster by having, maybe taking a guy off the practice squad for the first 3 weeks, flip-flopping. I guess it took their roster would it be have a little more flexibility to it, but the NFL looks like on Labor Day stepped in to clarify the emergency quarterback rule, which maybe threw a wrench into what the Patriots were trying to do. And I'm looking at a tweet from Ari Mirov, NFL at My Sports Update, and a lot of items come out about the NFL from this gentleman, and including a walkthrough on what the emergency quarterback rule is. And I'm trying to summarize this. It's very complex, but you basically have to have a QB1, a QB2, and then if you want to add an emergency quarterback, you have to use a spot on your 53 player roster. And keep in mind, only 47 to 48 players are active during game days. So obviously they might be on the active roster, but not dressed. So in this case, if you want that emergency quarterback that may not be dressed, they need to be on the active roster. And there's certain rules and when you can incorporate that game. So you cannot bring this emergency quarterback based on performance. Let's say the first two quarterbacks suck balls. They can't just bring the third guy in. They can't bring the emergency quarterback in. Also, you have to have a QB1 and QB2 to have that option, to have that spot of an emergency quarterback. So you can't just say, like in the Patriots case, Mac Jones is my starting quarterback, and I have another guy as an emergency quarterback just in case he's injured. It doesn't work that way. You have to have two quarterbacks already listed on your active roster. It's interesting read. You should really go through it. So some of the intricacies of this are, which I thought was funny, was the headpiece that the quarterbacks wear to get the play call from the sidelines. Well, there's 3 of these headphones that are allowed to be provided to 3 folks on the offense. Now, if for whatever reason that the 2 quarterbacks, the starting quarterback and the backup quarterback, have one of these assigned to them, and another offensive player has this also assigned to him, and for some reason you need to pull the trigger and bring the emergency quarterback because the first 2 cannot play because of health reasons, then they can't use one of those 3 microphones, or they can't use that in their helmet. So they would have to use, the old school, looking at the sideline, or hand signals, or somebody relaying plays into the huddle, which is pretty stupid, to be honest. Like, Jesus Christ, who are you helping with that? Let's say the 49ers did have the option of the emergency quarterback last year. Is it best for fans and everybody that there was a situation that was the odds were so low that it did happen in an NFC Championship game? How does it benefit anybody by having a silly restriction by not saying, hey, here in this case, this quarterback can have a microphone in his helmet to relay plays? Like, I don't know how to understand how that helps by not having that allowed. I don't get it, and just an unnecessary rule. But, in another interesting point is if the 1 or 2 quarterback is back and deemed healthy, then they would have to go back and replace the emergency quarterback in the game. So read the rules. Pretty interesting. I'm sure you'll hear it read and talked about 50,000 times, different interpretations of how the rule reads. But in any case, my understanding is that the portion about the clarification that the QB1 and QB2 need to be on your active roster to qualify to have a third emergency quarterback, that I think was directly aimed at the New England Patriots, according to one other article I read on Twitter. So interesting stuff. And so the Patriots then went out and got, as a backup off waivers from Carolina, or traded for Matt Corral, second-year quarterback, and now is listed as number 2 on the roster, but on the depth chart. So that's a smart move. He's a second-year quarterback, had success in college, and what do we get to lose by bringing him up and see what happens? So Patriots again trying to play chess while everybody's playing checkers, but man, that worked maybe with the Brady era and a lot of the stuff they did. But right now they're grasping at straws and need to get their head out of their ass and start winning football games. All right, so I like the Eagles there, over 3.5. Sorry, 3.5, cover that. Cowboys, Sunday nighter. Again, we're all going to double down. We're all going to chase on this one. This is the ultimate chase game. You have a huge chase game here, and the reason why is that you have the Cowboys at a -3.5 favorite on the road against the New York Giants that are a +3.5, money line +150. I am going to tell you that everybody and their mother who has lost money on the 4 o'clock games is going to hammer the Giants money line. It's going to happen. It's just predictable. It's not based on strategy you can think of on Tuesday. It's strategy you're going to think of at 7:45 before kickoff on Sunday night, looking at your bankroll and empty pockets. So be very careful in how you strategize moving into the Sunday nighter. Although that being said, I don't see any reason why the Giants are underdogs in this game. The Cowboys are a good team, but 3.5-point favorites on the road against the Giants, where the Giants did end the season on a high note. Daniel Jones, proved to be a decent quarterback. Saquon Barkley is back, and Brian Daboll, the coach, is, I think, a great coach. So I don't know if they're going to take a step back or not, but I just believe that I might chase this one too. But I like the money line +150, the Giants. But give me the 3.5, New York Giants, New York Football Giants, the G-Men. Monday nighter, we have a heavyweight matchup. Buffalo Bills, 2.5-point favorites, take on the New York Jets in New York. It's a big weekend in New York for football. Jets, since they're +2.5, you might as well go Jets +118. Now, keep in mind the Bills lost last year in New York, and that was based on Robert Saleh's play calling on the defensive side of things. You got to watch these divisional matchups. They have more. They just have more experience, and they see these guys so much back and forth, home and away, that sometimes their strategies work. Slowing down a great quarterback. This is why you see games like Mahomes. He gets a hiccup here against the Raiders now and then, or you got like last year, like I said, the Bills and Jets. A lot of stuff going on there that I think it's worth taking the Jets on this one. So I'm going to lock that in and take the Jets money line at +118. And I think that takes us through week 1. Now, to note, just to end us off, Austin from Ajax just penciled in a couple picks to us. Sent us a letter via the post, and that is he likes the Lions. He likes the Lions straight up to win. I don't get it, but he likes the Lions. He'll take them on the spread as well. He likes the Seahawks. They cover the spread against the Rams. He likes the Buccaneers. Hey, on the same page there, +6 in Minnesota. He likes the Cleveland Browns. Look at that. Again, he's going against Cincinnati like he did last year. He had the big Steelers pick over the Bengals. We're on the same page there. And he likes the Jets. So the only game we differ on is that I like the Chiefs to still win. He likes the Lions to win, but at least cover. So us from Ajax, almost on the same page, but not quite. So shout out to Austin from Ajax. Late entry into the picks, the spreads. And like I said, we're going to hope to get another show out this week before kickoff on Sunday that's going to focus on over-unders. It's going to focus on props to stick out, to give you, to listen to, some content where you're working. And we're going to leave it at that. Join us on Twitter, Overrated EXPR2. On Instagram and Facebook, Overrated Experience. We want you to win. Play safe. We cheer for you. You're part of the team. Thanks for listening. This is pleasure. The pleasure's all been yours. The Overrated Experience Season 2, Episode 1 is on, baby. Here we go. Let's get some wins. Let's put some money in the bank. Let's do this. Have a great evening, folks. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.